Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news as United get another major setback in terms of injuries. 53 injuries Manchester United have had, separate injuries this season within their squad, within their first team squad, and it's getting beyond a joke at this stage. Getting absolutely beyond a joke. Lisandro Martinez and Lindelof are going to be out for another month. They got injured in training, so we'll discuss that. I want to talk about the injuries in general and what needs to be done behind the scenes at Manchester United. We've also got a little bit to talk about Jadon Sancho as well. And supposedly Ineos are not going to be knocking down the price for Jadon Sancho. We're going to try and recoup as much as they possibly can for him. And finally then we're going to talk about João Neves, and the reports linking Manchester United to him are strengthening day by day. But it's not going to be an easy signing, you would have to say. But as always, guys, get your comments into the comment section below. Smash a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, as always. The usual stuff. Get your comments in below as well and we'll go through them. So yeah, look, I mean, nowhere else to start other than the breaking news, and, well, breaking news last night while we were live. Lisandro Martinez and Victor Lindelof will both be out of action for at least a month due to muscle injuries. Now, this is just absolutely laughable, to be quite honest with you. Absolutely laughable. This is the fourth time this season I think Lisandro Martinez has been injured. I think Lindelof is roughly the same. There's something seriously wrong going on behind the scenes when it comes to Manchester United and injuries. The medical department, is it the training methods? It's hard for us to know looking at it from this side and not being privy to any information on how they train and what they're actually doing. But you can't go and have 53 injuries in a season and think it's normal, because it isn't. It's not normal at all, and it's a big concern. It's a big concern, and it's another negative tick on Erik ten Hag's rap sheet, it has to be said, because, you know, the management team as a collective, you know, headed up by Erik ten Hag, needs to make sure that players are available and players are fit to play, and it just hasn't been the case this season. It just hasn't been the case, and it's a major, major concern. We now have a big concern in defence, specifically going into two very big games in the next 3 or 4 days. Obviously, we've got Chelsea on Thursday. We'll be doing the match preview for that tonight. And then, of course, we've got Liverpool on the weekend. And we've got an injury crisis, especially at centre-back. Now, left-back has been an area of concern all season as well. So, you know, I think the only two fit centre-backs we have is Raphael Varane and Harry Maguire. And Raphael Varane came off with a knock on the weekend as well, so we don't know what. Now, supposedly that was precautionary. So again, the league season for Manchester United is done and dusted, and I mean, it's such a terrible shame, because when you look, even last night, I mean, like, Spurs playing last night and dropping points, you know, was like dropping 2 points to West Ham. Now, West Ham, you know, I rate West Ham, and I rate what David Moyes has been doing. But, I mean, if we had a half-decent side and put in a half-decent run at any stage throughout this season, we'd be right up there fighting. Again, I don't know if fifth is going to get Champions League football. That remains to be seen. But, yeah, I mean, I mentioned it a couple of days ago that if we can get things right over the summer, you know, in terms of the playing squad, and if they decide to change the manager, okay, I don't want him to be changed. But, I mean, fighting it out with Spurs and Aston Villa for top 4 shouldn't be a problem for Manchester United if we can go in and spend in the transfer market, buy the right players. It shouldn't be an issue. Now, again, it shouldn't be is not, won't be. And there's a big difference there. So, you know, like top 4 for Manchester United is completely gone. Actually, before last night, I was very close to saying I thought Spurs might actually get it. But I think Aston Villa will go. And you know what? I hope Aston Villa do go on and get it. It would be great for them as a club. But, you know, Manchester United should be there. If we had a half-decent season, we would be there. And that's the most annoying part about it. So, going into the game on the weekend, on tomorrow night against Chelsea, we've got an opportunity to close the gap. It'll put us within 6 points of Spurs in the run-in with 8 games to go. Again, I still don't think the chances of us getting into the Champions League positions are likely at all, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, look, talking about injuries, I want to show you on screen, anybody that's watching on TikTok, if you want to get over to YouTube, the link is on the homepage. I'm going to put up some graphics over on the screen. This is damning when it comes to what Manchester United have been like this season when it comes to injuries behind the scenes. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to put up Manchester City's injury graphic. And it is as is here. So basically what this is, let me turn that off so you can see it. So basically what this is up here, the red crosses, they're obviously games where players are injured. So if we're looking, we can zoom in here and have a look and see. So, for example, Ederson at the top, he got injured in the last game over here, game 30. This is the Premier League. So first game of the Premier League, all the way up to game 30. So Ederson got injured. He's going to be out for an unknown period of time. And then we've got the likes of Guardiola here. He missed 3 games throughout the season. Akanji missed 1. John Stones, missed a few at the start of the season. If we look, for example, Kevin De Bruyne has missed an awful lot of games throughout the season. And that is what a normal team should look like when it comes to injuries throughout the season. Now, if we look at Manchester United's graphics coming up next, watch the difference. It goes from green to red. And there's the difference with Manchester United. And we can scroll, and there's plenty more down there as well. And this is a big, big area of concern. A big, big area of concern. And we can zoom in again and go down through it and see what everybody thinks of it. But, for example, we'll talk about, Tom Heaton, okay, whatever. Lisandro Martinez, here we go. So, in the 6th game of the season, was out and missed all the way up until the 21st game. Came back for 3 games and again missed another 5 games. Played again against Brentford and is now going to be out again. So, Lisandro Martinez, I think the thumbnail, what was the thumbnail? If I put it up on the screen, how many games has he missed? 31 games Lisandro Martinez has missed this season in all competitions. If we look at the likes of Rafael Varane, surprisingly enough, Rafael Varane has only missed 3 league games, which is, quite a good statistic for him. Now, of course, this is just the Premier League that we're talking about. Harry Maguire has missed 5 games. Victor Lindelof, 7. He's going to be out for another month. Johnny Evans has missed 3. And then we get down to the heavy stuff here. Luke Shaw, look at Luke Shaw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 9, 10, 11, 12 games is all he's been available for this season in the league. We know Terrell Malacia hasn't kicked the ball all season, so he's red all the way through. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has had 2 pretty... And these, when you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, that's the bones of 4 to 5 weeks you're talking about a player being out. And Wan-Bissaka missed a quite extensive period there. And then here as well, he missed another 7 games here. So... quite a substantial period. Casemiro, we know, in the middle of the season, had a long layup. Not helpful. Kobbie Mainoo, we know, got injured in pre-season, missed the start of the season. Christian Eriksen missed a few games in the middle as well. Mason Mount has been a big disappointment this season in terms of injuries and not being available to play. He's missed a substantial amount of games there as well. Amad Diallo, then we know as well, early on in the season, he's only come back since, after Christmas. Rasmus Højlund came in injured and had a couple of injuries, and we know that fraud down the bottom, Anthony Martial, is going to be out as well. So it's been a terrible season for Manchester United when you look at injuries, and it's a big concern, and it's something that needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. I don't know what you can do with it. Do you change the entire medical team behind the scenes? Does Erik ten Hag have to change his training methods, his intensity levels, maybe the amount of times you train every week? I don't know. Is it a freak of a season where, we don't see this ever again? We've never seen the likes of it before when you've got 53, and there's people saying excuses, which is, obviously an opposition fan. When you've got 53 separate injuries in one season, it ain't excuses. It's legitimate, and that's the concern for United. I don't know the solution here though, and that's my point. And I think Manchester United need to improve in all aspects. We know that the behind the scenes needs to improve with transfers and selling players and so on and so forth. We know the playing staff has to improve, and we need the squad to improve. But the medical department, by the looks of things, needs a massive overhaul as well. Now, we do know that we got that guy, I'm not sure if his name is Tierney, is his surname, from Arsenal, a little bit of the way into the season, and I believe he's doing a kind of an overhaul or a complete analysis of the medical department at Manchester United. So you would hope maybe in the future that that it improves. People are saying here, look at Liverpool's injuries. Well, you're obviously clearly a Liverpool fan. Alisson, Jota, Trent and Jones. Yeah, you've got a better squad than us. You know what I mean? And that has to be said as well. You've got a very good backup goalkeeper in Queven Keller. You've got a better right back in that young lad than Trent will ever be, in my opinion. And Jota and Jones are not really big misses. So there we go. But yeah, let's get down through some of the comments here and see what people have to say. Oshin Azani says, muscle injuries in my experience is due to overtraining. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. Next 5 days will seal Erik ten Hag's fate as well. I think even if he goes on to win a cup, he'll be gone in the summer. That chart is mad. Onana only consistent. Yeah, so I mean, if we're looking at the only players who didn't have injuries throughout the season, Onana didn't have one. Binder, but he hasn't played any football. Let's see, who else have we got? Who else hasn't had any? Kambwala, but he hasn't played a lot either. Reguilon was never injured, which is good. Delot, in fairness to him, hasn't had one injury this season. Scott McTominay hasn't been injured. Bruno Fernandes, but he's never injured. Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony. Yeah, that's it. Everyone else has picked up an injury, which is, it's not good. It's not good. It doesn't make for good reading, in fairness. Alan Azini says, it shows how good Bruno is to never miss a game. Oliver says, I think Delot should be a future captain. And Laser says, morning mate, I'm almost thinking of changing my PFP. My PFP, what's that? We've been a disgrace this season, and injuries can't be any more worse than Martinez. I really hope he's the last one in the doctor's book. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say is, I mean, if we had a won on the weekend, we would be 4 points off of Spurs if we win tonight or if we win tomorrow night. So look, I've said it before. I think our league season is pretty much done and dusted. But when you look at the league table, for example, I mean, not only is not getting into the top four an issue, but we've got to be very careful about who's behind us. Now, West Ham are behind us. They're only 3 points off us. We do have 2 games in hand. And we have to continue to win games if we're going to get in. I mean, Europa League has to be the target now, because you need to be in Europe. You just have to be in Europe. You need to be in it for the finances. You need to be in it for, the pull of certain players. So we have to get into the Europa League. So we have to be concerned about what's behind us just as much as it is about catching up with the teams in front of us. And I think that's a concern as well. So injuries, that medical department, Erik ten Hag's training methods, whatever the case may be, it needs to improve along with everything else at Manchester United. We're the laughing stock at the moment with 53 injuries, and I don't want to hear anything from Liverpool fans or Newcastle fans or whoever else that have had injuries this season. You don't come close to 53 injuries in one season. No one has. We're the top team in Europe for injuries this season in the 5 major leagues. So it's it has played a massive part this season. Now, performances haven't been good enough, and I'm sure injuries to key players do have a part to play in that. It would be naive to say it doesn't. But again, you can't be using it as an excuse. You still have to go out and play. We've seen Spurs, for example, play really well when they've got injuries to key players. They were missing Van der Ven, they were missing Heung-min Son, and they were missing Maddison, I think, all at the same time. And they still went out and put in some good performances. So, we can't have any excuses. I don't know if Oshin mentioned there he thinks Erik ten Hag will be gone in the summer. I'm starting to lean in that direction as well. I think maybe he will be gone in the summer. I think I don't think Ineos will hang around. I don't think they will. And like I said before, I want him to get time under the new Ineos group and maybe a transfer window under him if we can sign some good players. I think he is a good manager, but currently with this squad, he's not getting enough out of them, and that's a major concern. Oshin says, Europa League is a killer. Serious amount of games, and playing Thursday, Sunday is such a drain. It is. But what do you do? I mean, do you sacrifice Europe completely? I mean, what player will sign for us what top player will sign for us if we're not even in a European competition? And as well then with your financial fair play, is that going to hamper us going on and buying players in the future? We need a massive clear out this summer. And the more players we can sell, the more money we can generate to actually reinvest it into the squad. We need a squad build this summer. Like Oshin says here, if we are going to be playing Thursday, Sunday, it is a drain. And you need a squad. You need 20, 22 players that, can come in and play week in, week out and rotate in and out of the team. And if they don't, then it's going to be really, really difficult. Michael says, we play Chelsea tomorrow night. Yep, we do. Chelsea tomorrow night. Big concern, if you ask me. But I want to talk a little bit, guys, about transfer news before we finish up in a few minutes. And there has been reports suggesting that Ineos are not going to take a cut price offer for Jadon Sancho. They plan to improve their selling record, with Jadon Sancho unlikely to leave on the cheap. Considering the way the season has gone so far for Manchester United, it is clear to see that the new owners need to shuffle the pack in their first transfer window. Lots of positions on the pitch are in need of reinforcement, but due to FFP concerns, the club will first have to focus on selling well in order to raise capital, like we just mentioned. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is already reportedly planning a summer clear out with over 10 players set to depart, and this list includes players who are out on loan like Jadon Sancho. The England international was supposed to shine this season after Erik ten Hag's support in the previous campaign, but the relationship between the pair hit rock bottom quite early on in the season. We know what happened, so on and so forth. With the player returning to familiar surroundings, the expectation was that the attacker would regain confidence and build up his value, which would suit the Red Devils, who paid 73 million for him. We got a price down here. Sancho sale. There's no figure on it. But yeah, I mean, what would be, let me know in the chat, guys, what would be a realistic price tag for Jadon Sancho this summer? If we are looking at selling Jadon Sancho, and it is going to be, maybe back to Dortmund. Now, we do know that Dortmund, they're not strapped for cash, but they're not the richest club in the world either. And he hasn't ripped up trees over there, to be honest. He's got a couple of goals, a couple of assists. The likely amount for Jadon Sancho, I mean, we paid, what did it say there? 70 odd million. I think anything above 40 would be a massive clawback. I really do. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing at Manchester United since he's arrived. Like, literally nothing. What, a goal against Liverpool at the start of last season? Anything else? I don't remember anything else. He has done absolutely nothing. So 40 million, I think, would be really, really good business if United could get it. But I like hearing this, though. If we look at the overarching story here, it's that Ineos are not going to be taken to the cleaners, and they want Manchester United to start, getting what they deserve in the transfer market. And rightly so, it's been far too long since we've been able to really compete in the transfer market, both buying and selling. We always seem to overpay for players, and we always seem to undersell players. When you look at the academy, for example, we've sold players for a couple of 100,000 who have played, probably have got into double figures for appearances for Manchester United. And then you look at City across the town, across the city, Manchester City, they've been selling players from their academy for 5, 10, 15 million who have never played in the first team. You know what I mean? So we do need to improve in selling, and I think we do need to get the balance right, though, because I don't want Jadon Sancho anywhere near that first team next season. Anywhere near it. If we change the manager, I don't care. I do not want him there. And I don't think the majority of United fans want him there. I think he's burnt his bridges. He's been very unprofessional, like he has been at the majority of clubs he's been at. And I think Manchester United fans know that. And I don't think they would be overly supportive of him if he was to come back. Let's see. Laser says, I don't care if it'll cost us this summer. Can't be like last summer. If Ten Hag is to stay, which I hope not, our transfer needs to be top notch and not Dutch league related players again. He also says we will need at least 10 new players and to sell 10 if we can. Well, we won't buy 10 new players. We will never... there's not a chance of 20 transfers happening in one transfer window for United. So we need to be clever, and we need to be realistic as well. Oshin says, the Sancho stance is a positive. About time we played hardball, not just on Sancho, but everyone. That said, we will take a loss on him. I think 50, 55 million is good business. That would be fantastic business, in my opinion. To lose only 20 million on Jadon Sancho in a 3-year period when he's done next to nothing... Yeah, I think would be very, very good business. I really, really do. But again, look, I mean, there's a number of players that we're going to be talking about that fall into this bracket. Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood. If we're selling the likes of Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Varane, if they're to go as well. I know Varane can potentially go on a free, but these are players that we can potentially get money in for. And if you go out and get money for all of them, what I want to see this transfer window more than anything else is quick business. Quick business. Try and get it done as quickly as possible, because if we're looking to sell players in July and August, you're limiting the amount of time that you can actually go out and replace these players as well. So, quick business is the name of the game when it comes to the summer transfer window. Quick update, guys, on João Neves finally before we finish up. According to a number of different reports, Manchester United are willing to break the club record for a midfielder to get João Neves in the summer. Christian Eriksen is out of favour and often in games out of breath, while Casemiro's decline has been sharp and sudden. Just like that, Manchester United's first choice midfield of last year is wiped out in an instant. Mason Mount is yet to impress, and Scott McTominay is a midfielder only in name. This is a brilliant report. Kobbie Mainoo is somehow holding it all together at 18. Blah, blah, blah. The club, it seems Jim Ratcliffe recognises that, which is why they are willing to break their club record fee for a midfielder in their pursuit of João Neves. The Portuguese outlet Record reports that United have more than €100 million set aside to launch their pursuit of the 19-year-old midfielder. United know Benfica won't budge much on their player, but are determined to at least make them think with an extraordinary offer. We don't need to go any further. Spending 100 million on one player is not viable for Manchester United. It's just not viable at the moment. We need too many players. And if you're going to have let's say our transfer kitty this summer is going to be 150 million. You can't spend 2/3 of that on João Neves. You just can't. It's not realistic. The midfield needs 2 players minimum, in my opinion. Because we've just spoken there about, Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. Casemiro needs replacing, and Eriksen needs replacing. So you need 2 midfielders. We're going to need 2 centre backs as well. We're going to need a backup striker. That's 5 players. Now, if you're talking 50 million each for them players, you're talking 250 million pounds or million euros, whatever currency you're working in. That's 250 million euro. Now, if we're looking at a net of 150 spend, you're going to have to sell 100 million's worth of players. Now, if we're talking 40 million for Jadon Sancho, 40 million for Mason Greenwood, that does make up a lot of it. If you can maybe sell on Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, it can be made up. But that's if we're spending 50 million on each player, because we're going to need minimum 5 players in this summer. We're going to need 2 at centre back, 2 at centre midfield, and a striker. And there has been talks of us looking at a right back as well, potentially a left back as well, with injuries that are there. So, I mean, either it's going to be the most helter-skelter summer transfer window we've ever seen, or we're going to buy 1-2 players and be exactly where we were for the last couple of seasons. And that's, not having depth in our squad. We need depth in our squad. We've been saying it now for a couple of years. Since Ten Hag has come in, we've been saying, we need to clear out the deadwood. We need to bulk it up with players that are good enough to play for United and, get some depth within our squad. And spending €100 million on João Neves on one player is not viable. It's just not viable. Now, if you could get him for maybe 80 million and, you're maybe spending 50 million up front with 30 million in add-ons, you would say, okay, very good. A deal can be done there. Especially if you're selling a Casemiro for, let's say, 40 million to Saudi, you can counteract it. So there is business there that can be done. But I think going out and spending €100 million, £100 million on one player is just not viable, and it's not what Manchester United need, to be honest with you. Luke says, lowering our wage bill would be the best thing, even if people aren't being sold. Get Casemiro and Varane's wages down. Oshin says, Ineos need to change our reputation and fast. They need to stop teams leading us by the nose and be decisive and even, and if necessary, walking away rather than being taken for mugs. Absolutely. Laser says, João Neves needs to be our top priority signing this summer. He may not want a club in Europe or in Europa, but we need a Casemiro and Eriksen replacement and another CDM if we can. Malacia is not... Is no use keeping around. I'd also get a new left back while we're at it. Can't be keeping injury prones around, and Malacia is not what we need. Thoughts? I don't think I would be reluctant to put Malacia into the injury prone category, considering it's been one injury he's got and there's been complications on his recovery. But in terms of actually getting injured consistently, he hasn't done that. Luke Shaw, on the other hand, has, and that's a concern, in my opinion. So, but look, I have mentioned before that I think left back is an area that Manchester United should be going out and looking at if not this transfer window, certainly next summer. I think it's an area of concern. Luke Shaw has been picking up an awful lot of injuries. If we go back and look at it here on the injury list. Where is it? Luke Shaw, where are you, Luke? Where are you? Here he is here. Sorry. So yeah, here he is here, Luke Shaw. Fuck off. Yeah. He's been out for a long time. Sorry, I'm after knocking it off. But anyway, yeah, it's been 2 separate injuries, which is an area of concern as well. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys, in the comment section below. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. Check out the merch as well, guys. Here's one of them, Casemiro. We've got some merchandise. Link is in the description of the video. It supports the channel an awful lot. We've got some really cool designs. I've ordered the Youth Trinity, which is Menu, Garnacho and Highland sitting on the billboard. We've got a really cool design of that. The link is on the description, or link is on my homepage on TikTok, and it's in the description of the video. It's a really cool design with the 3 guys with their arms around each other, the Youth Trinity. I've ordered mine and it's on the way, so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, check out the merch, guys. Link is in the description. I'll be back tonight with the match preview at 8 o'clock, so make sure you're tuning in for that as well. Have a great day, and I'll chat to you tonight. Take it easy.